start with a roll call.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Chair Grumbine.
Present.
Vice Chair Uli.
Present. There we go.
Present.
Commissioner Butler.
Here.
Commissioner Dorden.
Present.
Commissioner Drury.
Here.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Present.
Commissioner Lenbeck.
Present.
And Commissioner McClure.
Here.
We have quorum. Thank you.
All right. On to approval of the minutes for the historic
Pardon my
landmarks.
interruption, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
sorry, public comment.
There we
Yes,
go.
sorry. Yeah. The whole jumping from like the roll call to item A is, yeah, I get confused easy. All right, so public comment. Any member of the public may address the commission for up to 2 minutes on any subject within our jurisdiction that is not scheduled on this agenda for public discussion. So anyone want to talk about something that's not on the agenda? In the room? All right.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I don't currently have any speaker slips for general public comment, but anyone can fill out a slip. Although I'm not seeing any movement, we don't have any participants online, and we did not receive any written correspondence, so I'll give it back to you.
All right, great, thank you. Yeah, we like it that way. All right, so let's go on to item B, approval of the minutes of the Historic Landmarks Commission meeting of March 12th, 2025.
So move.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Drury, second by Vice Chair Uli. Under discussion or edits, anything?
Hi.
Commissioner Ensberg.
I just had a couple of suggested comments or corrections about the discussion we had about the bicycle racks. And here, let's see, where is it? It says, oh, yes. Commission recessed from 244 to 247 to compare colors outside. And I believe that when we did compare the colors outside, it was determined that the colors were, it was the color of the green on the waste receptacle, which is a typical color around the city, and compared that with the green color that was proposed, and we found that they were very different. And so I think it's important to say that they were different than the rest of the minutes describe what the decision of the commission was, where the majority, there was at least one that had a differing opinion, but that's fine. The majority of the commission felt that the green was okay, and so that's already stated.
So I think there's two parts to that. First is the additional verbiage explaining what we were comparing the proposed color with the Malaga green on the garbage can
receptacle.
Outside.
Yes.
So there's that part, I think, which makes sense to add so that it's for clarity of what we were doing. But then the other part of it of what our
Number two.
discussion of it was, so the majority would like the color of the bike racks to be green and the Alpha. Yeah, that would be that would need to have been in the motion, I think.
Yes, pardon my interruption through the chair to the rest of the commission. So because these are action minutes, we rely on the recordings a lot for some of the minutia of all of this. So if it is really important to the commission, I can add some added or additional verbiage to the recess. But again, that's all covered in the recording. That's not necessary for the minutes, and we like to keep them as clean and succinct as possible. And the results of the color comparison, again, are captured in that recording and didn't make it into the motion because I believe the commission then included in their motion that they selected the green color to be chosen instead of leaving it up to the discretion of the applicant.
So would it be appropriate to say something like the commission recess from 244 to 247 to compare the proposed green of the bike racks with the Malaga green on the existing garbage receptacle outside the building, finding that.
I don't think you say the finding.
Okay, and that's, yeah, so that question is, so there's that, and then hold off on saying what our findings were, because it's just basically telling what happened of, that we stepped outside and we stepped back in for the reason.
Correct. And just to note, we typically, when we say that the commission recessed, we don't even explain why the commission recessed.
Okay.
So this is extra verbiage as it is.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
That makes sense. Commissioner Drury?
if I may say to my great chagrin, my colleague was right and I was wrong. It's a much brighter green as proposed, but
We can't relitigate it. But I would just add, Mr. Chair, that I think it's important to distinguish that we were comparing a green color, not just colors, like we were looking at the whole rainbow. We were looking at the color green. And then the discussion follows and you get the detail in the tape. I think it's good to clarify it.
I think that makes sense, and also with what staff says as well, because we normally don't include other additional notes in those, with anything except for the motion, right? In terms of what those, unless there was a straw poll vote or something that we include as part of the motion.
And we generally don't qualify why we recessed. The commission recessed, period.
Well, it was for that specific reason.
I understand that, but we typically don't say why we recessed. It just says the commission recessed,
And
period.
I do think that just in terms of following our regular, and I don't know if this is based on Robert Rules of Order or not, but our regular way of doing things, all we're capturing really is the motion. We're not capturing the discussion and the agreement or disagreement unless there's something as much as a straw poll vote, or if there's something like, by saying the majority, it says that there was also a minority. And then the only other way we capture disagreement is for voting against it and then explaining why as part of the motion and what actually gets captured here. So I think that's fairly, that's our regular way of doing it, and I think that makes sense that we don't have to actually add the additional verbiage in there.
So is staff comfortable changing colors to green colors, just to qualify that we stepped out to we recessed
Well,
to?
they rewrote it there.
Yeah, I
So
think
they added even the mulatto green in
the additional
Okay,
language
all right.
as proposed, that's fine,
Right.
and we can.
Very
But
good.
I just would want to caution the board to not get into the habit of
Yeah, of
adding
adding the
extraneous details that
additional parts
not
that, even though they're
actually
true and happened, they weren't part of the motion that gets locked in as the verbiage. And I think that that's appropriate as we're doing it now, in terms of how we have always done it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Drury?
for the sake of clarity, didn't we also okay by the black color as well? No, just the green.
I thought we did say, no, we did say.
No, that was
both
the-
of
We
them.
can't relitigate it. I mean,
We're not
we
relit-
can watch the tape, but
No, I think that the tape is capturing properly the motion is capturing properly I think we ended up with just saying the green. I believe so, but we can ask staff to recheck
I
it.
think,
So
if I could say.
through the chair to the rest of the commission, the proposal that the applicant brought forward was they were proposing 2 colors of green and 2 black colors. So you conditioned the motion to only use the 1 color of green that you found acceptable and left the black to the discretion of the applicant. That's what's included in the motion and included on the
Oh,
tape.
okay.
So
There we go.
we don't,
Okay.
yeah, again, we can't be adding language to the motion that wasn't included, and any of the other discussion and debate that happened, that's all captured in the tape, but should not be included in the minutes, because the minutes are action-based minutes.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense, and if that's what our verbiage was with it, and actually, the verbiage is even, the majority of the commission would like the color of the bike racks to be green, as in this number in the Pueblo Viejo. So, if that accurately captures what happened, are you saying that you don't think it does?
I don't think it does, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you. And I'll go back and watch it again myself, but that isn't my recollection of what happened. So,
is the motion accurate according to your recollection, or
In the-
or
the
do you have a
motion-
problem with the recess?
I think, I agree that we shouldn't do this every time. We had quite a bit of discussion about it, and we went back and forth to the degree that we even recessed to go and compare and to go look. And so this is a little bit of a unique situation. My recollection was that we said that they could use either the green or the black, and that it was up to them, depending on where it was in the town, which one they would select. And we gave them, anyway, that was what I
Through the chair to the
recall.
rest of the commission, what was captured in the motion and was reviewed by the secretary and captured, and the secretary can expand on that, was that you only wanted green in El Pueblo Viejo, that's
Correct.
included in the motion, that
Correct.
only
That's
green
my
in El
recollection.
Pueblo Viejo, and that's what's included in
And
the motion.
use black anywhere else they wanted to.
Yeah, and so it's too
Yeah.
late to revise the motion, essentially.
Yeah, okay, so, Commissioner Ensberg, you're good with that? The secretary can chime in. Okay, yeah.
Through the
Yeah, I
chair.
think,
Yes, actually, let's hear from the secretary.
As I did review the actual video. So you guys did go back and forth on it, and initially the motion was to have either, and then after, I believe you recessed at that point, and then you decided, wait, let's just stick with the green because we don't want some to be black, some things to be black and some to be green. You're welcome to review the video, but I actually had to go through it a few times to make sure I got everything like exactly the way you finally decided on it, and that was what you ended up deciding on was, let's just give them green, not give them the option.
Which is also what had been previously voted when I wasn't there, but was in the minutes from before, was that there was a preference for the green only. So, yeah, okay, so I think we did go back and forth. Are you satisfied then with this?
I will.
The other option would be if you're really not satisfied, and as long as it doesn't cause a problem, we can ask staff to re-review. But
No, that's okay.
Okay.
I mean, I'll do it for myself, just
Okay, yeah.
you know, just so I can remember and try to be more.
Yeah,
more-
well, I think we had separate, because we had separate motions, my mind was confused about it too, is exactly where we landed.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, and thank you. You know, it was, you know, we had a rather lively debate about it, so.
Yep.
And then the only other thing I was, is on the, did we talk about, you know, there were the rack sizes. There was the one that looks like a staple, I'll say, the U-shaped one, and that one we said that we preferred and that they could do either the two sizes, the way you have it stated here. Did we say something about the round one at all?
That was already, yes, we did, we brought it up, but they said that one has already been approved for HLC, so they are already using that wherever. So
Okay.
they already have that in their tool belt.
And there
Okay.
was no reason to include it in the memo because
Okay.
our motion, because it was already approved.
So in here, it's a minor thing, you know, the rack sizes. So for the two that were reviewed, the staple-shaped ones, we said that the two sizes, the narrow and the wide one, were both acceptable. So we
Yep.
can just infer from this that the style was that particular style.
Yeah, because I think that was all that was actually in their proposal.
Okay.
Except for as examples of what has already been done.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, any other adjustments to minutes? All right, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Butler,
Yes?
Commissioner Dorden,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvick,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right. On to item C, approval of the minutes of Historic Landmarks Commission consent meeting of March 12th, 2025.
So moved.
All right, Commissioner Drury, do you want to second it?
Second.
Commissioner Butler? Oh, great. All right, and then under discussion, any discussion or edits? All right. Can we have a roll call vote?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvick,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorden,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you.
Fine, sorry. I forgot that for the minutes, I was absent for the last item that was the mission, so I should have abstained from that. To be completely perfect
Yes.
and technical, I should have abstained from that last one. I don't know if, can that be,
Staff will note that you are abstaining from item 2 on the full commission minutes. Thank you.
all right, thanks.
Thank you, yes. Great. All right, so now we're on to item D, ratification of action taken on the consent calendar of March 26, 2025, today. All right, so do we have
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item on consent calendar today was 2801 Verde Vista Drive, which received final approval as submitted. Item B was 1014 Santa Barbara Street, which received project design approval and final approval as submitted. Item C was 321 West Micheltorena Street, which received project design approval and final approval as submitted. And item D was 1232 De La Vina Street, also known as 1111 West Victoria Street, which received approval of review after final as submitted with the comment that the commission suggests painting the columns to their original color. And that is all for the consent calendar.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, so now we just need,
Mr. Chair, my only comment about the consent calendar this afternoon is our distinguished colleague, Mr. House, sends his greetings.
oh, great.
He sat on that side of the table for the first time in a long time.
Nice.
We made him work for it, though.
Yeah, good. Great. Okay, so,
Make a brief correction. Nicole caught that it was to paint, the comment was to paint the columns to match the stucco, not to match the
okay,
original.
got it. Great, thank you. Okay, so we need ratification of it, so is that just a vote for ratification?
Get a motion in a second
Yeah.
for ratification?
No, no, we didn't. Okay, so let's go with, who would like make a motion? All right, Commissioner Butler. Who would like to second that motion?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Drury. Under discussion, any discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Lenvick,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorden,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Uli, for taking care of that today. All right, announcements, requests by, item E, announcements, requests by applicants for continuances and withdrawals, future agenda items, and appeals. All right, so do we have,
No announcements from staff at this time?
okay, from anyone else? All right.
Chair Grumbine?
Yes. Commissioner
Just as a reminder, I think last time I brought up the idea of having a discussion about paseos, which I think we're going to include in our work group. Before, and then maybe that's the way that it comes back.
Yeah, that
Isn't
might be a good way of,
Just don't want to lose that thought.
yep. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. All right. Any other for item E? All right, let's go on to item F, subcommittee reports.
Nothing from designations.
Anyone else? Meet? All right, now moving along. How are we doing now? 45? Okay, we're on track. All right, so now we're on to item 1, structure of merit designation for 804 Moreno Road. This is a request to adopt resolution 2025-4, designating the craftsman-style residence constructed in 1920 a historic structure of merit. So, all right. So, Ms. Hernandez.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. This is our first of 3 candidates for structure of merit designation today. And in this first one, I'm going to go into a little more detail of the history, as it has a similar history to the second one, as they're both craftsman style buildings designed in the Lower Riviera. And this one was constructed in 1920. And it was found significant in the Lower Riviera survey, which was completed, and it was added to the Historic Resources Inventory in 2014. And as you can see, the building sits right here on the corner of Moreno and Loma Alta Street. And all the blue buildings and yellow buildings are all identified historic resources also in that area through that survey. And you can see here on this 1931 Sanborn map, the building is here on the corner with the original footprint. And it also had this really, the garage at the time. And you can see it had this distinctive sandstone wall and the sandstone garage tucked into the hill. The neighborhood setting is really characterized by these meandering streets throughout the neighborhood with much of the development. There was a few things in the late 1800s, but really started to infill the lots by the early 1900s with 1- and 2-story residential structures, many in the Craftsman and Spanish Colonial Revival styles. It was built on a slope, so many of the houses are like this one, where like it's 1 story up the hill going up Moreno, and it comes down, and then you have this built over the second story built up, and the need for all the sandstone retaining walls, which were so distinctive in Santa Barbara. I wanted to just give a little bit more history of the Lower Riviera. It was developed really starting in 1911 when Santa Barbara's population was really it quintupled between 1900 and in 1940. And with this influx of the population, there was such a huge need for housing, the working class as well as the expanding middle class, that these planning divisions were sold as empty lots, and most of the houses were built from pattern books, which were mail order kits from distributors or factory built houses such as Sears and the Pacific Ready cut homes by mostly, and then put together by contractors or builders. And you'll see a huge distinction of the ready cut homes that were done in the 1920s with these beautiful factories in Southern California with like a tile section, wood section, and I sent you all the Pacific Ready cut book from 1925 that really illustrates the high quality that came out of those, not to be confused with the kind of modular homes that came out after World War II. So with the increased need for housing, oh, this thing just flew away from me. Anyway, with the modern middle class, these were practical and critical to Santa Barbara's economic vitality and establishing a place for the working and middle class to prosper. So you also see in the Lower Riviera, again, the sandstone being employed, and it is noted that many of the sandstone walls and pieces that are so distinguished were built by the Italian stonemasons, including John Antonoli, Antonio de Ros, Joe Sacanaghi, under the direction of Joseph Dover. In addition to that, I did just have a few pieces, samples from the Pacific Ready Cut catalog that illustrate designs in this craftsman on 804 Moreno that were in the catalog. And one is the pergola covering of the porch, and also the true divided light windows that flank the front door. 804 Moreno actually has one of the really, I love these expressive front doors on Craftsman. They're really wide and they bevel glass, and those long linear patterns are really unique. You don't really see those outside of the Craftsman era. And although, and then with the Pacific Ready Cut, just a little more history behind that, they did have over 1,800 plans, some custom designed. They also included duplexes, bungalow courts, hotels, gas stations, and offices. And many elements were chosen and put together in different ways, which is why each one ended up being so unique. And it's hard to see any two that are actually identical completely. And many of them popped up in Santa Barbara right after World War I, like this one, due to the return of all the soldiers from World War I. And the 1920s were the heyday for the Pacific Ready Cut homes, as well as other kit homes. They had over 53 branches in California cities, and also shipped nationwide and internationally. And they really do... the bungalows really became a visual motif itself, along with citrus groves and palm trees that are part of California setting. And although they were kit homes, again, they were first-rate materials, quality craftsmanship, and they became irreplaceable resources, making them exemplary housing. And as we look at this house specifically, it qualifies under criterion 3 for being a craftsman bungalow. And these are some of the character-defining features on the house. One, it has the exposed rafters under the eaves. It has the flat dormer on the front. It has this incredible sandstone chimney. And on the inside, it has an incredible sandstone fireplace that is just really massive and very well cared for. It also has the unique knee brackets holding up the open gable. Each one often had different carvings in each house. You'll see many different varieties. Let me go through. There's a couple more character-defining features. This one has the shingles decorating the walls, as well as the open pergola over the porch, the beveled glass in the door, and the unique decorative pattern. And it has wood windows. This one has both casement divided light windows. It has 1/1 double hung windows with OG lugs in the upper sash. And it has true divided light wood sliding windows on the front elevation. And again, part of its character-defining features are the sandstone that exemplifies Santa Barbara's ties to our local masonry construction. The major alterations on the house were, there was a small addition in the rear, the accessory dwelling unit workshop that's in the rear, and the approval of a desktop or a rooftop over the deck on the garage that does not impact the house. And thus it does retain its historic integrity. And in conclusion, this 1920 craftsman style home does have the qualifications to qualify as a structure of merit.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
I'll leave it to you.
Your report. All right, so now we'll open up for public comment. Anyone wishing to comment on this? And if there is an owner in the room as well, all right, that wants to say anything about it, feel free to come to the mic, or you don't have to, but yeah. All right.
Ron Blitzer is my name.
All right.
I've lived in Santa Barbara for 25 years,
Okay.
and my wife and I just purchased this house. We're both retired. We took on this project that we were swearing to ourselves we would never do. But we're enjoying it. We're loving this process. We just moved in 4 days ago.
Wow.
And we just keep peeling back layers of history. You know, you first kind of look at maybe the windows and the casings and some of the hinges, and you think, oh, we got to change these. But then you take a closer look and you go, oh, wait, there's layers of paint here, and, you know, you just start peeling them off. And,
Yeah.
you know, what we just did to the front door, and, you know, we're just restoring this. And it's kind of like what they're calling a forever home, like, we're not doing this again in our lives. And then we also feel like there's this public facing. You know, the house was covered by bush and an old fence, and we really want to expose the property to the street and the community. And
Great.
appreciate
I have a question.
consideration.
Is the garage door white?
It is white.
Or are you going to paint it to the
Yeah,
metal?
we probably will. And this is the garage. The garage is great, but I'd have to buy like a mini cooler. And then, you know,
Or maybe a couple horses.
yeah, the whole thing is charming. And
Yeah.
we're just like thrilled that we fell into this. So
That's great. All right, well, thank you.
thank you for your
sharing.
consideration.
Yeah. All right.
Mr.
Great.
Chair,
Yes.
before we start, I had an ex parte communication with Mr. Blitzer outside.
Okay, great. Thank you for telling us. All right, any other public comment on this item? Oh, you can actually, right there on the stand, just press the button. And and should glow green. All right.
Well, I just happened to read the thing you sent to me at my house.
Okay.
My name is Jennifer Stafford, and I grew up in Santa Barbara. I've lived on the Riviera for 62 years. I went to Anchorage for about 7 years. Otherwise, and I just met my new neighbor. 4 days, really? You're doing pretty good. And I luckily had the time to come down here. I've never been here, didn't know you existed. Hello. But so I grew up with my granny there who lived out on the Channel Islands, and that's been a part of our life, that house on the corner. I think they used to say the two sisters lived there, but he said lots of people have lived there in between. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to say that it's on Loma Street, not Loma Alta, and because that's my street. Michael Drury, all right, and he's on Grand Avenue. I walked by it many a time, and Granny and I used to trick or treat at your house when it was when that was possible. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you very much.
And to the member of the public, if you would fill out a speaker slip and then give it to the secretary when
Okay.
you're done. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. All right, this is a popular item. Anyone else want to speak to it?
I don't have any speaker slips for this item, but anyone else that would like to talk on it they can come up and talk and fill one out after.
All right.
Sir,
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't have any participants online, and we didn't receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'm going to give it back to
All
you.
right, great. All right, so back to the commission. Any questions about the report?
I don't have any
Comments?
questions.
Comments on the report?
Comments, extraordinary example of a nice craftsman house, and for all of the 4 or 5 days you've been taking care of it, thank you. Your adventure has just begun, so. Yeah, extraordinary example, great detailing, totally support it. It could even qualify as a landmark, I believe, because of its integrity.
All right, Commissioner Jordan?
I'd like to make a comment. It's a wonderful house. I'd like to make a comment publicly because this comes out of a dinner conversation I had with some neighbors recently who were asking, why did HLC deal with small houses? Wasn't it just about the great monuments, the courthouse and stuff? And I think that the preservation is about preserving the history, the cultural, the social, and the economic history. And these kinds of houses, as Nicole took us through, they aligned very well with the cost of development at the time, with the existing level of craft and construction skills in the town at this time, and with the available palette of materials and components like windows and doors, so that they were a very flexible, adjustable, economical system that was well adjusted or aligned with demographic changes. And it's important to recognize that there were times when that was possible.
All right, any other comments before we, I'm guessing everyone's ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2025-4, designating the craftsman-style residence constructed in 1920, located at 804 Merino Road, a structure of merit.
I'll second
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Jordan beat you to it, Commissioner. Very sorry. All right, we got a motion and a second. Under discussion? Any further discussion? All right, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvick,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes?
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, great. And if the owner would like to come up, we have a resolution of designation as a structure of merit. So, on March 26, 2025, the Historic Landmark Commission officially designated 804 Moreno Road a historic structure of merit based on its architectural and historical importance to the heritage of the city of Santa Barbara. The building is an important contribution to the beauty of our community.
And you don't have to wait a month for the certificate.
Thank you very much.
All right. Great. All right, next up is item 2. This is a structure of merit designation for 510 East Sola Street. This is a request to adopt Resolution 2025-5, designating the craftsman-style residence constructed in 1917 a historic structure of merit. So, to Ms. Hernandez.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and Commission. So this one, again, is in the Lower Riviera. This one was constructed a few years earlier in 1917, based on the first listings in the city directories, also in the craftsman bungalow style, and it was identified as significant in the Lower Riviera survey. And since I did do more of the deeper dive into the Lower Riviera and the ready-cut bungalows, I'm going to kind of just highlight what's unique about this one. What I think is really a poignant picture. This is further down in the Lower Riviera, and this is where you have more of a street grid instead of the meandering streets as you go up the hill. But what you'll notice is every building in blue or yellow on this surrounding the building, which is right here on East Sola, was identified in the Lower Riviera survey as a historic craftsman, or not a craftsman, but a historic bungalow. And this was the area in the survey that the consultants found had such a high density of historic buildings it would qualify as a historic district. And this is in the middle of the Bungalow Haven proposed historic district. This, when the National Register nomination was withdrawn, I did let property owners know they can always come to us to be individually designated. And also, these were all added to the Historic Resources Inventory when the survey was accepted in 2013. And then on this photo, this is the 1931 Sanborn map where you can see, the lots being infilled with the bungalows, and this one still has the same footprint with the half-width front porch tucked under the main line. And what I think is really unique about this one is it's one of 4 that have these unique, they have the massive porch posts typical of Craftsman style, but these all have the rough stucco columns with these inlaid brick designs. All 4 in a row really give that block a really sense of harmony, actually. You'll see also compared to some of the samples in the kit homes, this had, the flat dormer that was found in the kit homes with the lattice work on the sides. And it also had the porch tucked under the main roof line. And this building also qualifies as a Craftsman style for the following character-defining features. The shed dormer, which we just saw, as well as it also has the wide overhanging eaves supported by the triangular knee brackets. And you'll notice these have a totally different carving than the last one, as well as it has this is a wonderful beveled glass window tucked into the solid wood door with original hardware, and it has the double hung windows with the OG lugs and the upper sash, and the front windows have the smaller transom here. And I will note that the owner also invited us into the house, and it has really great, all the built-ins still in the house with the leaded glass, and has integrity on the inside as well, and it does retain all the criteria for integrity, so qualifies as a structure of merit as per the Santa Barbara Municipal Code. And that summarizes it up.
Yeah. Thank you for that. All right, so now we'll go to public comment. Okay, great. And do the owners, would you like to come and speak?
You can come up
You
to
can-
the.
Yeah, you can come up here and, yeah. So, welcome. If you would introduce yourself for the record.
I'm Brad Parks,
Okay.
and I'm here for my wife, Lisa Cosentino, and myself, because we've lived over 30 years in this home, a bit more than Mr. Blitzer, who I met at a neighborhood open house a while ago. We just love the house so much. I'm really delighted to be here, and that you're considering our home as a structure of merit. You had mentioned the cultural, social, economic history, and when we were doing when the Bungalow Haven Neighborhood Association was doing the research for the designation as a Lower Riviera Design District, I went down to the city library of, the people who lived in the home, and I did hours of research just looking into and it really felt like such a connection with Santa Barbara, where I've lived for 40 plus years, and with my home, which, every day, I think, almost every day, my wife and I wake up, we look at each other and says, we live in a work of art. This is, but it's an inviting work of art. I mean, it's something that everybody who visits says, I feel so at home, immediately. I don't know how that is, and I think it's just the warmth and the presence of the craftsmanship and the beauty of the woodwork in this home. When we bought the home 30 plus years ago, all the initial woodwork was painted over. And we went by 10 or 15 years, and we thought too big a job to get it off, but now we've had it now for 10 or 15 years, and it's this beautiful old Douglas fir, I think, with a flame, they call it a flame, pattern. So anyway, there's just so many elements of it, and the neighborhood is great. I walk down here, and just walking down, being able to have access to the city, living right downtown, I walk, I say, Santa Barbara, you can't beat it. I mean, all the architectural detail and so many homes. Every time I walk, I see a new home or new building. So anyway, thank you for your time and for your consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair? Yes. May I say that those comments reiterate the importance of the Historic Landmarks Commission and the importance of Nicole Hernandez.
Yeah. She's pretty amazing.
I have a question.
What was that?
I have a question.
Oh, question. Yeah, sure.
Did any of the immediate neighbors object to the effort to designate this building?
not to the designation of my home, no.
Okay, thank you.
Not to the designation of his home. To his knowledge.
We had nothing, and we do a 300-foot radius notice.
Okay, fine.
Great, thank you. All right, any other, since we're still in public comment, any other public wishing to address this item?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I don't currently have any speaker slips for this item. We do not have any participants online, and we didn't receive written correspondence. So I'll give it back to you.
Okay, great. All right, to the commission for any questions about the report? All straightforward, all right.
I don't have any questions.
Comments?
A couple of comments. I would add that to the owner's characterization that a lot of these houses have such depth and charm to them, but it also has a lot to do with the people who occupy them currently. There are some who care deeply about their properties and others who don't care as much. And so I think you can sense that when you see these nominations for designation, how well they're cared for. And this is another fine example, much simpler in its detailing than the last one, but still a fine example of a craftsman building.
That's a good point. We should require all owners to be good.
And mandate that in the city code.
Somehow, yeah.
We do, in a way. We say they have to be high maintenance.
Yep. Commissioner Lembeck.
Yes, I also would like to comment on the landscaping that we see in the front of the house. It's well done, it's tasteful, it's a good example of what we should be doing in Santa Barbara as well. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
All right, Commissioner Jordan.
I just have a comment. This is a public hearing, it's on the record, and what we've heard is that a resident has indicated that designation promotes a sense of connection with the city. That strengthens the city. And also, it does not appear that his neighbors perceive designation as any infringement or obstacle to their enjoying their property. I just want to say that on the record.
And property values around will probably go up.
Yes,
That's the reality.
we know that.
Okay.
Chair Grumbine?
Yes, Commissioner Ginsburg.
I would also like to, I think this is, both of the last two that we saw are beautiful, and I particularly appreciate this one too. My husband and I, our first home in Santa Barbara was on Salsa Puedes in Sola, so right around the corner from this gentleman, and the house we had was a little Spanish colonial type. And when we lived there for over 10 years and, did what we could to restore that house. And it is just an amazing neighborhood, as the gentleman said, and close to town. And our house was 1,000 square feet. And it was great for our little family. And, the neighbors it's just a really tight-knit community, and you can walk into town, and it's the best place to go trick-or-treating you can possibly imagine because there's so many houses and they're close together. So I do have a soft spot in my heart, particularly for that neighborhood, although we have many neighborhoods like San Roque and Samarkand that also are incredible neighborhoods as well. And Grand Avenue. Yeah, so many all around the city. So thank you. Congratulations.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-5 designating the Craftsman-style residence constructed in 1917 located at 510 East Sola Street a structure of merit.
I'll second that.
All right, I heard Commissioner Jordan beat you again.
He's right next door to you.
The sound still has to travel, though. All right. All right, a motion and a second. Under discussion, any further discussion? All right, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenbeck,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes,
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes?
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And if you would come up, we have our resolution of designation as a structure of merit. On March 26, 2025, the Historic Landmarks Commission officially designated 510 East Sola Street a historic structure of merit based on its architectural and historical importance to the heritage of the city of Santa Barbara. The building is an important contribution to the beauty of our community. So thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank all of you.
All right. We are on to item 3 now. This is a structure of merit designation for 238 Cannon Drive. Request to adopt resolution 2025-6, designating a Spanish colonial revival style residence designed by Leonard Cook in 1930, a historic structure of merit. So with that, Ms. Hernandez.
Yes, okay, we're switching neighborhoods and architectural styles for this designation nomination. So as you said, it was constructed in 1930 in the Spanish colonial revival by Leonard Cook. And this is up in the San Roque area. This is to the west of San Roque Road, which is outside of our survey area. But you can see from the map, we've had quite a few designations in this neighborhood along Cannon Drive, and a couple noted here. Those have all come in one by one on their own accord. And I'll just do a brief history of the San Roque neighborhood. It was once the ranch of Dixie Thompson, who raised beans and walnuts on the ranch, and I just had a coworker tell me today she still has one of those walnut trees in her yard up there. And it did flank the San Roque Canyon, which remained open agricultural land until the subdivisions started developing right after World War I. And as you can see on the Sanborn map, the neighborhood was subdivided, but very few buildings were built around the neighborhood at this time. And most of them were done in the period revival styles. And the ones that we have designated include one in 1928 in the American colonial revival style, a Tudor revival, and one by Edwards and Plunkett in the Spanish colonial revival. And then the house next door to this one, just up to the north of it, is another Leonard Cook house that's also designated a structure of merit. And this section, especially around Cannon Drive, was at first designed to be like a country club neighborhood, and where Ralph Stevens Park is now was going to be a golf course that never materialized. But when it was first developing, they did have design standards established by the San Roque Investment Company and had an art jury governing all the colors. The house, as we said, was designed by Leonard Cook, who's done quite a bit in Santa Barbara. We've seen several of his buildings come in from different areas as structures of merit. He did start in Santa Barbara in 1902 as a draftsman, but went to work for Green & Green in 1909 down in Pasadena, where I'm sure he got his skills in craftsman design. And then he continued to live and work in Pasadena until 1916, when he went to fight in World War I with the British. And in 1921, he returned to Santa Barbara, where he started his own practice, much of which was in the Spanish colonial revival style. And this building in particular has the following character-defining features of that style. And again, the Spanish colonial revival, I'm finding original ones from the era when the city was purposely identifying with this style and encouraging this style to be designed everywhere it could, is significant itself. But this one has the interplay of cubic volumes, patios, pergolas, and verandas. And you'll see he designed this Monterey-style balcony in the rear of the L-shaped wing that looks over the beautifully landscaped courtyard. And then he also set off this gable off the front so that it has a balcony over the front entrance as well. He does also have intersecting gable roofs covered in terracotta tiles. He has, of course, the smooth stucco walls, and he has a large stucco chimney on the end of the gable. The front door, he has a large, big wood panel front door flanked by divided light windows, as well as the front windows are wood with the sort of distinguished single panel flanked by single panel casement windows and other casement windows with divided lights throughout the building. And again, he also has the large Monterey-style balcony. And you can see here's his original drawings, and the house really follows to a T these designs. The only thing that is not on and is not clear was ever on are the shutters. I don't know if they ever made it on the building. There's no sign of them. But the building does retain all the aspects of integrity so that it conveys its original appearance and qualifies under criterion 3 as an example of Spanish colonial revival style designed by Leonard Cook in 1930. That concludes my presentation.
Great, thank you. All right, and we'll go to public comment now. Is there anyone in the room wishing to comment on this, or an owner? Yes. Come on up.
As I said, in the price is right, come on down.
Come on down.
I have
Welcome.
one thing to add while they get set up. They also invited me in the house, and it has beautiful integrity on the inside, just arches and beautiful ceilings. I wish I could show you all that. I get to, if they do the Mills Act, I get to.
All right, so welcome. If you would introduce yourself.
Robert Giamo.
And Maria Rendon Giamo.
All right, welcome. Yeah. You want to share with us about?
Sure.
Yeah.
First, thank you for considering.
Pardon my interruption. Can
Oh,
just
you
make
can
sure you
probably
speak into
scoot
the
forward a little
microphone?
bit. Yeah, microphone. Yeah.
Thank you.
He can't hear you.
Yeah.
We've lived in the house 25 years. I have a fondness. I grew up in a Spanish colonial revival house, so there's a lot of ways to describe them. For me, they're charming.
Pardon my interruption again.
inviting.
Oh, yeah.
They're still not picking him up
Oh,
on City
can
TV.
you-
Are both the microphones on?
Or, yeah.
Yeah, they're on. Maybe.
There we go. Thank you.
You might have to really speak into it. Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah, like a rock star.
and it's interesting, I knew very little about Leonard Cook until Nicole showed me some information she already had. And I was amused because he did some work for Green and Green. And I was 19 years old, and I did a job for the city of Pasadena, and they put me in the Gamble House. I don't know if you've been there, you know the office. I had no idea how blessed I was at the time. They put me in there for a summer to design a calendar for the city of Pasadena, but so I got to know that house very well. But these houses, to me, they deserve good owners. They deserve to be kept well, you know. So
They deserve good care, and
Yeah.
Robert works on the house, probably, I would say 70% of the time.
well,
The garden,
I spent all the,
like the landscape in the courtyard that you saw,
Yeah.
it's all him. And initially, he changed all the landscape in the front for drought-tolerant plants. So I obviously adore the house, but we're good. We're just keeping it for a while so
Yeah.
that we can.
we feel very
for the
fortunate.
future. Yeah.
And just one small thing. The house has been so great. We've celebrated several weddings there. My father is not alive anymore, but his 90th birthday, we had a huge party, and it was really, I don't know, it was great. So, anyway, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good stewards.
Yeah. Thank you for your
Yeah.
stewardship.
Yeah,
Great. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Oh, you can stay there.
Okay.
Yeah, you might as well. All right. Any other public comment?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I do not have any speaker slips for this item. We do not have any participants online, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'll give it back to you.
All right. Back to the commission for any questions about the
I have a
report.
question. Is the house maintenance heavy, or are those systems all good and it's just humming along? Or?
Some of the electrical had been redone and plumbing even before we got there 25 years ago. But there's always something, you got to pay attention. I also like old cars, so I like things that you come with, you have to kind of put some time against it, so.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Any other questions?
I don't have any questions, just a couple of comments. The funny thing is that Leonard Cook, quite prolific in Santa Barbara, is not as celebrated as much as George Washington Smith or Luda Maria Riggs, but did work at the same level they did, and just didn't get the pizzazz out of it. Extraordinary designer.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to see that his work is being recognized and that you're taking so great care of it.
Yeah, we love the house, no doubt about it.
Great, yes.
I would just
Mr. Butler?
want to follow up on that really quickly. Like, a lot of that's due, the biography was written by Post Hazeltiner in the room. Just wanted to send them credit.
A little props for your
Right.
help there.
Yes.
They also did the Lower Riviera survey, so all their work is.
I should say, we both went to art school and design school, so I know these houses, the way the light comes through them, you know, different times of the year, everything is, I don't know, it's all thought out. It's beautiful what happens, so,
Inspiring.
yep.
Nice. All right, Commissioner Butler?
I just wanted to bring up, because of the location of the house being in the San Roque area, very recently the city and Nicole at Crew held a public open meeting because the city's about to start doing the survey for your neighborhood of what's there.
It's just on the other side of the
It's not included in the survey area yet, but it just shows a couple of things. First of all, the neighborhood that you're part of and the quality of the homes, et cetera, and the historicity of that. And then secondly, the efforts by the city of Santa Barbara to really support and promote and advocate for preservation. We had a pretty good turnout. I think the cookies had a lot to do with it, but there were three of us, I think
Yeah, the three of us.
I think three of us attended and participated as well, and there was some good showing by the neighbors, good questions about what's this about, why would we care, et cetera. So just an encouraging aspect to what you're participating in here.
Yeah, no. It's all art to me. The right houses, anyway.
Great, all right, so Commissioner Ensberg?
Yeah, I guess what I would like to say, well, first of all, thank you so much. These are treasures. And when we talk about, you know, the work of this commission, you know, to help, to preserve, I was a little surprised by the woman who spoke earlier who's been here so long but didn't know about us. So maybe we need to do a little bit more work on that.
I'm an ex-ad guy.
But, yeah. So
Commercials between the news.
Real historians of HLC.
Film at 11.
So I'd like to also, you know, one of the previous people talked about the comfort, about feeling so, you go into these spaces and it's really undescribable how comfortable they are and how they speak to the human, you know, what we all need as human beings, and about the art of the architecture, the sustainability, that these buildings, even if they fall into some kind of disrepair, can come back. You can do something with them. Whereas some of the more contemporary architecture and the materials that are used basically you can't do anything with them except for scrape them and start over again. So these types of buildings not only speak to, you know, our soul and to our community and what's so important about our community, that we're so lucky to have these historical resources. So, you know, it's just super, super important, and, you know, the work of the preservation, and I really appreciate your work and the others who have been here.
My father was a builder, so I grew up around that. And when he came up, the first time he came up to see the house, it wasn't in great shape when I first got it. And he says, you've got a lot of work ahead. He said, but this is a good house. It's got good bones. Those are the exact words he used. So.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing I'll say is, you know, we always talk about the firmness, the commodity, and the delight. And, you know, the firmness is the structural integrity, the commodity is how it functions. And then it's that delight part. And that's the part that is just kind of takes your breath away when you walk into a space that is so well designed and so beautiful. You just, you know, there's no words. So thank you so much. And we're going to have to do a better job, guys, of promoting the work that we do. And Nicole, thank you.
Yeah.
Tune in next week when we'll be debating bishop hat arches.
There we go. Oh, a debate of the day. All right, yes, Commissioner Drury.
I just have two words, T-shirts and hats.
Maybe we'll
some
start
merch.
giving them out for everyone that comes to
We
work.
need some merch.
All right. I didn't
Well,
know.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-6, designating the Spanish colonial or Bible-style residence designed by Leonard Cook in 1930 at 238 Cannon Drive, a historic structure of merit.
Second.
Oh,
I think he got it.
I think he got it, though. Yeah, Commissioner Drury,
By
good job.
nose.
You got it. You got a second. All right, any other discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes?
Commissioner Dorden,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and thank you both very much. Yes, so resolution of designation as a structure of merit on March 26, 2025. The Historic Landmarks Commission officially designated 238 Cannon Drive a historic structure of merit based on its architectural and historical importance to the heritage of the city of Santa Barbara. The building is an important contribution to the beauty of our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, congratulations.
Thanks so much.
All right, this was a happy meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Tune in next week when things go sour.
all right. All right, so we're going on to item 4. So historic structures report for 712 San Pasqual Street. This is requesting, so it's a review of historic structures sites report for 1910 Craftsman style residence, requesting acceptance of a historic structures site report prepared post Hazeltine. The report concluded that the Craftsman style bungalow constructed in 1910 is eligible for listing on the historic resources inventory, but the detached garage is not eligible for designation. All right, so welcome.
I just want to give
Yes.
I just wanted to say, did agree with the conclusions of the report, and when it first came in, it was for a demolition, which is why a structures report was required for this one.
Gotcha, thank you. All right, so if you could introduce yourselves for the record, and then give us a summary of your report.
Pamela Post of Post Hazeltine Associates.
Tim Hazeltine, Post Hazeltine Associates. There's been a great deal of discussion about the Craftsman style today, so I won't go into too much detail. The house was built in 1910 for Pietro and Carlotta Saccanocci, which hopefully I'm pronouncing correctly because I'm a quarter Italian, but there you go. So the development of this house was very, not indicative, but part of a pattern in the lower west-west side. I always think of the west-west side as west of the freeway, which is now the freeway. That area didn't develop in any substantial way until the early 20th century. This house, built in 1910, was one of the first houses built on the east side of the 700 block of San Pasqual Street. I was just going to go. It's substantially intact. And here's a map here. It shows the location in the west neighborhood. I'll go through the general history, which is not really important to have in there. We have a few historic maps to demonstrate that there was no development in this area until the early 20th century. This is always a nice one, even though the house is not there. It doesn't show that in the late 19th, through basically the middle of the 19th century to the late 19th century, this was mostly an agricultural area with orchards and fields. And the Packard home, which was a very substantial adobe and frame house, was located just to the sort of north of the property. The development of this area, it really was propelled by the arrival of the Southern Pacific Railroad in 1887, and this bird's eye map shows the railroad going on the block behind the house, which is orange. Yeah, very decorative. So the arrival of the railroad in this area and its proximity to the railroad line meant that it essentially developed as a working class area rather than something like the Upper East, where there were more upscale, upper middle class and upper class houses. One of the first houses built in this area was on Orange Avenue. And I apologize, I can't remember the street address, but Nicole had done a report on that. As you can see, as late as 1898, the block's essentially undeveloped. This is the Sanborn in 1907. And as you can see, at that time, before the house at 712 was built, there were 2 residences on that side of the block, of the 700 block. And those are one of those, the one that's in sort of a reddish kind of orange, that is actually a very interesting house that is a brick and stone construction, which is quite unusual for the west side in that area. And it is in a sort of a free classic subtype of the Queen Anne, but the materials aren't wood, they're stone and brick. And this is first of several architectural styles that would eventually be built on this side of the block. They range from vernacular type houses to Spanish colonial revival. There's a couple of free classic subtypes of the Queen Anne, and there are a couple of craftsmen. And then there are some houses that are sort of in between, because you have to think of architecture at the time in a sense as a continuum. So some houses are like fully within the style, some sort of combine and amalgamate
Other
elements from
styles.
different styles. And it's especially common, I think, in these working class areas where the houses tend to be very simple and the architectural detailing is usually fairly reductive. This is the 1930-31 Sanborn map, and it does show the house with the existing garage behind it. So I'll just show a couple of photographs. We believe the house might be a ready-cut style house, or it was built by a local contractor using a set of purchased plans, but we don't know that as a fact, but it does have some elements of that style, as you can see from this Harris home, which has some of the elements of the house that we prepared the study for. And here's another example of one. And move on. Here's another one, which is a little more similar. Let me get to the photographs. And these are photos, this map here, sorry for rushing by. This has all the street addresses for this block. And the reason we called all these out is the significance of this house is partially predicated on the fact it's on this row of substantially intact houses, all built between probably about 1905 and the very early 1930s. While some of them have undergone changes, they are substantially intact, and the block still conveys the character and feeling that you would expect for a block of essentially working class houses built in the first 3 decades of the 20th century. Here's some streetscape show. Here's the Ortega intersection. And then we've called all these out, and all these numbered ones are in here. You can see some of the different styles that are on that side of the block. It was difficult to photograph because our magnolia trees is the street trees, and they pretty much block most of the facades of the houses. 712 is number 3 on this, identified up here. And there's just some more shots of that block. This is just a site plan. And just some of the landscape. As you can see, there's essentially no landscaping, so I won't discuss that. Here's the view, the west elevation facing San Pasqual Street. The house has most of the character-defining features you'd expect for a modest example of a craftsman style. Horizontal wood siding, gable roofs, extended eaves, exposed rafter tails, architectural embellishments essentially confined to porch piers and the trim work around the windows and doors, which is fairly reductive. And the doors, which you can see better in this shot. We believe the door on the right-hand side is original. It's a glazed wood panel door. The main door, the front door, is a flush panel with these sort of offset rectangular glazing. We're not sure that that's original. It's very difficult to tell. It's a little unusual for that period, so it may have been replaced. So there's that door there. And that's the other door, which is definitely original, definitely early 20th century type. And it even preserves its original doorknob, which is unusual. It actually matches the one on my house, which was built in 1894, oddly enough. And so here's the porch pier. Pretty typical craftsman in a sense. It's leaning a little bit more towards a little bit of, not classical detail, but it's not like a flared porch pier. It's more of something you might even see on a Queen Anne subtype. It's not quite as craftsmanlike as some are. But it does preserve, the house preserves almost
Traditional.
all of its original features, as these photos demonstrate. Triple windows, sash windows. The rear elevation is essentially a service room that may have been enclosed sometime later. We couldn't find a permit for that, so it's sort of the least distinguished of the house's four sides. So in summary, we found it eligible for listing because it's a good example of the craftsman style. It makes a substantial contribution to this potentially historic streetscape on the east side of the 700 block of San Pasqual Street. And we concluded that it was eligible as for incorporation in the City of Santa Barbara Historic Resources Inventory at this point. If more study is done of that side of the block, and those houses could potentially be identified as like a mini historic district, and then they could be all eligible as part of a larger designation. But we thought at this point, with the information we have and the information on the other houses on the block, it was prudent to designate, in a sense, a lesser designation, pending further study at some point. So that's essentially our conclusions. And there is a garage in the back. It's a utilitarian corrugated metal building, part of it built before 1931 and part of it built in 1931. Otherwise, there is no other substantial improvements on the property. Here's the alley. So that ends our presentation.
That concludes your presentation? All right. All right, so we'll go to public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to comment?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I do not have any public speaker slips. We do not have any participants online, and we didn't receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'll give it back to you.
All right, thank you. All right, to the commission for questions.
Just a quick question. I noticed in the rear yard photograph just there, does the historic half pipe contribute to the importance of the property at all?
Of course.
It might be 50 years old now.
Yeah. No, seriously. So it sounds generally like maybe the house standing by itself isn't extraordinary, but it gains greater importance to be included on the inventory because of its association with similar ones on the same side of the block that seem like they're a collection, almost.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So historic and architectural significance is not completely, but is largely derived from its contribution to the streetscape. And also it does tell a social and economic story about these working class neighborhoods, which, generally receive less attention in the public mind than something like the Upper East, or a really beautiful example of Spanish colonial revival. And sometimes they're, I think, a bit underappreciated because an important part of their story isn't as much as the architecture, but who lived there and what it says about the community at that point in time, especially in an era when there was a great deal of immigration into Santa Barbara from groups like the Italian Americans.
That clarification goes to Commissioner Dordan's comment earlier about the social economical component of these kinds of studies that often are overlooked. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Drury.
I have two questions. Is Wentworth Avenue, did that become San Andres?
Apologies, Commissioner Drury, I don't have a map in front of me.
Okay.
And
It's the one
on the other side, you mean on to the east of it?
Yeah, the one
I believe it.
parallel to San Pasqual. I think.
Yeah, there's a little, I don't want to, it's a little convoluted, but there's some maps that identify part of that as Wentworth, and there are some that say Orange Avenue.
Oh, okay.
I mean, through history.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a fuzziness, I think.
And then my other question would be, why not the garage?
The garage, because one, it does not, most critically, it does not contribute to the streetscape because it's just barely visible if you look down the side
okay.
yard.
All right.
And secondly, It is vernacular, but it's a very generic type
Utilitarian.
of a utilitarian building, which can be very cool, like in the funk zone, but it does not substantially add to the history of the neighborhood.
Thank you.
All right. Other questions about the report? All right. Comments on the report? Everyone feeling good about it?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
a
Commissioner
typically
Drury?
thorough report by Post Hazeltine.
Oh, thank you.
Much appreciated.
Question?
Oh, question,
Is
yep.
this your house?
No.
Oh, okay.
Are you with the architecture design team? Yeah.
Just here to answer any questions that they came up about the future project.
All right.
Staff, does it take a motion to accept the report? I'd move we accept the report for 712 San Pascual Street, which identifies the residents as being eligible for a listing as a historic resource.
Second.
All right. Yeah, I think we'll give it to Commissioner Ensberg. 'Cause
Eeny, meeny, miny,
you
moe.
haven't had one yet. You tied, right?
Oh, no, go ahead. I had a.
Oh, you and Drury. Oh, okay. Oh, good.
I'm
good,
sitting
Drury.
right here, so
Okay,
apparently
got
you
it.
can't hear
Yeah,
very
yeah. No, I think because you said it, it like, yeah, it blocked out all others. Okay, so we'll go to Commissioner Drury. We have a motion and a second under discussion. Any more?
Yeah, Chair Grumbine,
Commissioner
I'm curious about, I'm thinking about, the pressure that we're having now with housing and development and, which is like, aside from this report, which we are saying, yes, this is an important history here of a modest, very modest, property and the development as you've so beautifully laid out. I'm just curious about how, and maybe this is not, just slap me down if this is not appropriate, but how we move forward with buildings like this that, how functional and useful are they? I noticed in this picture right next door, there's a second story that's been put on to a older house. So how do we move forward as a community when we have these very, very tiny little houses, and how would they
Chair
be
to Commissioner
addressed?
Ensberg, this discussion isn't agendized. The report is the only
It's just a
thing up
report.
for discussion.
Okay,
so-
well then maybe, this is what comes up for me when I'm
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
about a little thing like this. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
You'll be seeing
When we
it.
see the next part of it, we might have more of that discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion for the motion at hand? all right, roll call vote, please. Oh, wait, Commissioner Drury.
Just one more thing. That whole neighborhood, from Mountain Avenue to the highway, the freeway, is really ripe with beautiful buildings, all vernacular, all mostly modest. It should be surveyed forthwith, post haste, whatever. Yeah.
Post Hazeltine.
One of those things.
Forthwith. Post-haste.
Noted.
Post-haste.
Noted, Commissioner Drury. Any other discussion before we vote? All right, roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorden,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvick,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
Good luck
All
with
right.
that.
Great, and then we are on to our last item, item 5, which is our historic structures report for 821 North Milpas, and they saved the best for last.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to,
Yes.
Back again.
I did also agree with the conclusions of the report. And one reason the report was required is when we did just a little bit of background search, it came up that this was the last operating Taco Bell in the country. So we were like, well, maybe this would be like the last continuously open.
Oh, gotcha.
And we wanted to make sure if it was still its original design, is this some iconic feature of the community? So that's why the report was called, and we have a lovely coworker who did a lot of study on these iconic things, and he's the one who brought it to my attention. So as the new generation comes up, this stuff is really valuable to them. So here we have our study.
Nice, and where's the tacos?
They're right here on the screen as it comes up.
For 19 cents.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons we put it in.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
only 19 cents.
Okay, so I'm going to read the description, and then we'll go to you for the report summary. All right, so review of historic structures sites report for a 1965 Taco Bell that is an example of programmatic architecture. Requesting acceptance of a historic structure sites report prepared by Post Hazeltine. The report concluded that the building is not a qualified historic resource and is not eligible for designation as a City of Santa Barbara landmark, structure of merit, or for placement on the historic resources inventory. All right, so welcome. If you introduce yourself for the record and give us a short summary of your
Pamela
report.
Post of Post Hazeltine Associates.
Tim Hazeltine, Post Hazeltine Associates. So I think I'll start with, the report outlines it was built in 1966. First Taco Bell in Santa Barbara. It is one of the few remaining examples of what is programmatic architecture. And what that means is the architecture expresses something about the product that's being sold in the building. So down in Los Angeles, they have a hot dog restaurant that's in the shape of a hot dog and a bone. And
And a donut shop.
and a donut shop, correct,
Donut on top.
Commissioner? And in this case, this is a example where it's not designed in the shape of a giant taco, but what it is designed is to recall in a very sort of, grand is not the right word, but in a way that is good for advertising, the type of food the restaurant offered, which was Mexican-American food. So their architect designed this sort of evokes like a Zorro type of, this is what a Spanish building would look like. So it's got an espadaña on the top with a bell. It has these rough cast bricks. It had originally three arched openings. And so this is not this 821, it's another Taco Bell, but it shows this iconic signage that they use, the three arched openings, the open porch. So when they ordered, you would walk into the porch and order at a counter. And sadly enough, I can remember doing that, but there you go.
Well, that looks like Ed Lindvik sitting there.
I was before this time.
And I'll just show you a couple, I don't want to go through these aerials, pardon? Yeah. So here's, let me just show a few more things here. This is what it looks like now. And I think I'm going to jump right into why we felt it was not eligible, why we concluded it wasn't, is it doesn't retain its historic street facade. The iconic street facade was three arches. And in this case, open arches. And then there was this addition to the building. And what it did, it turned into a four-arched asymmetrical facade, which is not characteristic of the sort of iconic Taco Bell style of building. It does, as we note in the report, preserve many of its original features, but not enough to convey that image that we saw in the earlier, the old photograph with the open entry. So you can see that sort of turns something that's open to the elements into like just a sort of solid facade. As most of these commercial buildings, all the emphasis is on the front of the building. The other elevations are basically block walls. And in this case, even the rear of the building is an addition. So I'll just kind of go through those. Originally, this area, on this photograph 6, you can see this shed roofed portion of the building. That is an addition. It replaced what was an outdoor eating area, very characteristic of Taco Bell. They would have these little, they'd have tables. They usually had like a Spanish-style fire pit. They were trying to give this sort of a very distinctive character to the restaurants, which was a great advertising tool. And I think in conclusion, if the building just does not retain sufficient design integrity or integrity of materials to merit designation, and essentially that was the conclusion of our report.
All right, great, thank you for that. Let's go to public comment then.
Thank
Seeing
you.
no one in the room.
Thank you, Chair Crumbine. No, I do not have any speaker slips for this item. We still don't have anybody participating online, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this item, so back to you.
All right, to the commission
Mr.
for any
Chair?
questions.
Yes.
Commissioner Dre.
Did you find in your research any reference to the Drury family with the little baby eating there every Friday night? 1967?
Well,
Not yet.
Commissioner Drury, if you could send us a photograph, I'll see if Nicole will let us
I
add
could
that
maybe
to the
do that.
report as an
Insert that in the
addendum.
report.
That might make it historic.
Yeah.
That was our big treat.
Association is upbringing.
Yeah.
All right, other questions? Commissioner Jordan.
You mentioned in your presentation other examples of programmatic architecture, the Tail and the Pup restaurant and so forth. And those are often recognized as programmatic or branding or advertising architecture. Some of those are considered real monuments of American commercial design. Do you think this Taco Bell rises anywhere to the level of national significance as an example of programmatic architecture?
No, Commissioner, because it can't convey that original design
Okay.
well enough.
Okay.
Okay, yep.
It's interesting to note that the developer of Taco Bell, the creator, his last name was Bell.
That's
And then
just-
how he got the Bell in there and sort of the mission
Uh,
Bell story.
Hey, Commissioner, I was just going to mention to Tim, I said, tell him it's after Glenn Bell. So it's a kind of a double entendre, you know, Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah. He originally started off with hamburgers.
Huh. Made it better going with the name.
Well,
And-
that
and
market,
telephone.
that market
Yeah.
apparently was taken over by two arches.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
I don't have any questions. I have a comment. I noticed this item gave me a chuckle because I ran across a picture online of a Taco Bell building on blocks down in Los Angeles that apparently they felt strong enough that it should be saved from the property that was being redeveloped. So they plucked the building off the ground and parked it on blocks in the parking lot. And now they're looking for a new home for it. So it was pure and original. I mean, just as you had described.
Ooh, maybe they can move it here.
Maybe I'd just say maybe.
Maybe.
Knock down the one with 4 arches and put one. All right. Any other comments?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
If I'm
Bowden.
not mistaken, there was another one on De La Vina Street, which is now the Daily Grind or something?
Is that a question?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, because that, I think, has
Sounded like
more
a comment.
integrity with the brand than this does.
Yeah, and there's
That one
one
looks more-
out in Goleta, too.
There's one out in Goleta,
Yeah,
too.
Chair, if I could respond to that.
Built basically about the same time.
Yeah, so the one on De La Vina was actually more intact to fairly recently when the building was remodeled. And then the one where the old Ralph's used to be on De La Vina, that one, they turned it into a coffee shop. They took the Espandana off, and there have been other changes. So I'd say until about 10 years ago or so, there were more intact examples, including one on Fairview Avenue, which was, I believe, demolished. And then there's one there was one in Isla Vista that's also either been demolished or heavily modified.
All right.
Just a comment, because I've made several comments about the importance of preservation. I want to make a comment about why I'm supportive of this recommendation. All of us could sit here and remember going to places like this. Nostalgia is different than historical significance, and nostalgia is not, in my opinion, a reason to preserve.
I would agree with that.
Unless it's my nostalgia.
Oh, yeah, except when it's our own.
Yeah.
I actually don't think the word nostalgia appears anywhere in any of the codes or authorizing legislation reasons for preservation. Nostalgia.
It's not
is
listed as one of the standards
It's
in
not
the
standard, it's
National
not.
Park Service.
There's no threshold of nostalgia.
All right. Any other comments on the report? Sounding like everyone's in agreement. Who would like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion that we accept the recommendations in the Historic Structure Sites Report for 821 North Milpa Street.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Chair Uli and second by Commissioner Butler. Any other discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll begin with Commissioner Drury,
Yep.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvik,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorden,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes?
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And this is the last of it. So at 3 o'clock, meeting is adjourned.